I recently saw the Super Mario Bros. Movie, and I gotta say, it was a ton of fun, with plenty of references that I just couldn't help but smirk at. But it definitely inspired me to do another Super Mario themed build, and since I already made the Super Mario Bros., I figured let's build the antagonist, Bowser, because this is D&D Builds, where we have an outlet to make all sorts of ridiculous Dungeons & Dragons characters and stop driving the people in our lives insane with them. I'm definitely going to be using Smash Bros as a huge influence for this build, but I'll dip into a few things from the entire collection of Mario. First things first, we gotta pick a race, and Bowser's a dragon turtle, so we have two major options. We could go with a turtle, which would give us a shell, and certain versions of it will give us a claw attack as well, but I really want to make sure we get that breath attack. And since dragon comes first in the dragon turtle title, we're going to choose the race Dragonborn. We'll grab the very straightforward Dragonborn race from the player's handbook and not any of its variations, which of course comes with a draconic ancestry. This allows us to choose a dragon's color, and we'll just go ahead and go with gold because that feels a little close to what Bowser generally looks like. Dragonborns get a breath weapon, and specifically the gold Dragonborns spit fire in a 15-foot cone. Then when it comes to a background, he is the King Koopa, so we're gonna grab Noble. This gives us skill proficiencies in history and persuasion, and you can have the feature Retainers, so you can have a few people loyal to your family, which can be the mini bosses in these Super Mario games. Then when it comes to some stats, we're gonna be fairly well rounded, but Bowser is a bit of a tank. So we're gonna take our strength, bump it to 14, take our dexterity, also bump it to 14, and then do the same thing with our constitution. Then jumping down to his charisma, I was gonna dump this because he isn't exactly well liked, but he is a ruler, he needs some charisma for that, and he was played by Jack Black in the most recent movies. And there's nothing that personifies charisma more than somebody like Jack Black. So we'll put 12 points into charisma, and that leaves us with 2 points left over. And it's a bit of a toss-up, whether we want him to be a wise ruler or a little bit more intelligent. I'll throw those 2 points into intelligence, bringing it to 10, allowing us to dump wisdom, because maybe if he was a little bit more of a wise ruler, his entire kingdom wouldn't fall to a plumber. And just to round out some of these scores, you do get some bonuses from being a Dragonborn, boosting your strength by 2 more points, bringing it to 16, and 1 point into charisma, bringing that to 13. Then it's time to choose a starting class, and we're definitely going to be doing a multi-class here. So I'm going to optimize a bit and figure out which one will give us the best overall starting position. And that's going to be a Barbarian, because they have the most starting health out of any class in D&D. When you choose a Barbarian at first level, you get saving throws in Strength and Constitution, and you get to choose 2 skills. We'll grab Intimidation and Athletics. Then at first level of Barbarian, you get access to Rage. So as a bonus action, you get really angry, giving you advantage on strength checks and strength saving throws, giving you bonus damage to attacks with strength-based melee weapons, and you have resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage. Additionally, at first level of Barbarian, you get unarmored defense, but he does have a pretty solid shell on him, so I'm going to say that that's just using the medium armor that Barbarians can use while still being able to rage. Then at second level of Barbarian, you get Danger Sense, so you have advantage on dexterity saving throws against effects that you can see, and you get Reckless Attack, so you can throw caution to the wind and attack recklessly, giving you advantage on a melee attack, but it gives your enemies advantage against you. Then at third level of Barbarian, you get access to a subclass, otherwise known as a Primal Path. And there's 2 great choices here. I was tempted to go with the Battle Rager because they have a very famous spiked armor, which could very well replicate the spiked shell that Bowser has. But I want to make sure he gets a claw attack and a few other things, so we're going to go with a Beast Barbarian. When you select the path of the beast, you get Form of the Beast. So when you rage, you can choose a weapon that comes out from you. Either you can bite, transforming your mouth into a bestial muzzle, dealing 1d8 piercing damage when you bite something, and once on each of your turns when you bite, you regain hit points equal to your proficiency bonus, provided that you have less than half of your hit points left. Additionally, you can grow a lashing spiny tail instead, which deals 1d8 piercing damage on a hit, and since it's a spiny tail, we can also say that those spines go all the way up your back, providing that shell, because this tail also boosts your armor class, allowing you to use your reaction to block a bit of damage, rolling a d8 and adding that number to your armor class, potentially allowing you to not get hit. And finally, the last thing you can get from Form of the Beast instead are claws. So each of your hands transforms into a claw, dealing 1d6 slashing damage on a hit, and once on each of your turns when you use the attack action, you can make 1 additional claw attack as part of the same action, meaning that you get 2 attacks right at 3rd level. Then at 4th level of Barbarian, you get an ability score improvement. So we'll go ahead and throw 2 points into Strength because Bowser is definitely strong, and then instead of taking 5th level, which would give us extra attack, but if we really need an extra attack, we can always use Claws, allowing us to attack twice already, so instead, we're gonna do a multi-class. I want Bowser to be able to use some of that charisma, so we're gonna multi-class into Paladin. When you take 1st level in Paladin, you get access to Divine Sense, so you can sense some evil around you if you really want to, but you're going to be most of the source of that evil unless you're running into some boos that aren't on your side. And you get access to Lay on Hands, giving you a bit of healing to replenish yourself if you really need it. You can also use this on your allies, but I see Bowser as a bit more selfish. This allows you to restore a number of hit points equal to your Paladin level times 5. And if you expend at least 5 of those hit points, you can neutralize 1 poison or disease effect. Then at 2nd level of Paladin, you get access to a fighting style, and we're going to grab Defense, giving us +1 to our armor class, which really helps with that giant shell that Bowser has. Also at 2nd level, you get some spellcast, but we have to be very careful with this because when you're raging from your Barbarian levels, you can't do any spellcasting. But that's okay because you don't have to use any spell slots you get from being a Paladin just for spellcasting. Instead, you can use it to boost your attack with the other feature you get from 2nd level, Divine Smite. So when you hit a creature with a melee attack, you can expend 1 spell slot to add some radiant damage. The extra damage equals 2d8 for the 1st level spell slot and an additional 1d8 for any spell slot higher than that, up to a maximum of 5d8, which does get 1 additional d8 if you happen to be fighting an undead or fiend, just in case you have a problem with King Boo. Then at 3rd level of Paladin, you get Divine Health, so you're immune to disease, and you get to choose a sacred oath. And if there's one oath I have absolutely no doubt about when it comes to Bowser, it's gonna be Oath of Conquest. The entire concept of this subclass is about dousing the flames of hope, ruling with an iron fist, and strength above all. Additionally, when you choose this subclass, you get access to a channel divinity, which you can use one of 2 options. Conquering Presence, forcing any enemy you see within 30 feet of you to make a wisdom saving throw or become frightened of you for 1 minute, or you can use this for the feature Guided Strike. So when you make an attack roll, you can use your channel divinity to gain +10 bonus to your accuracy. Then at 4th level of Paladin, you get access to an ability score improvement, so we're going to go ahead and boost up our strength to more points, maxing it out. And then at 5th level of Paladin, you finally get extra attack. So you can attack twice as your action, or 3 times if you happen to have your claws out from being a beast barbarian. Then at 6th level of Paladin, you get access to Aura of Protection. So whenever you or a friendly creature within 10 feet of you has to make a saving throw, you all gain a bonus to that saving throw equal to your Charisma modifier. Then at 7th level of Paladin, you get another feature from having that Oath of Conquest, Aura of Conquest. So you can constantly maintain a menacing aura within 10 feet of you. So if you use that Conquering Presence, making a creature frightened of you, and they happen to be within this Aura of Conquest, their speed is reduced to 0 while within the aura. And that creature is going to take psychic damage equal to half of your Paladin level at the start of its turn. Then at 8th level of Paladin, you get another ability score improvement. But I want to hammer in on that Inflicting Fear. So instead, I'm going to take a feat. And since we happen to be a Dragonborn, we can use one of the racial feats allowed through Xanathar's Guide to Everything and grab Dragon Fear. So now instead of exhaling fire, you can actually just roar, forcing every creature within 30 feet of you to make a wisdom saving throw and frightening any of those creatures. So now the limited use of your channel divinity, which usually you can only use once per short or long rest, you don't have to rely on quite as much, because now you'll be able to inflict fear with multiple sources. And this does have the added benefit of increasing one of your stats, and it can be your charisma. So we can bring our charisma up to 14, making it a nice even number and being a bit more usable in D&D 5th edition. Then at 9th level of Paladin, you get access to 3rd level spell slots, but we don't care too much about that because we're really only using them for smites. And then at 10th level of Paladin, you get Aura of Courage, making it so that you and any friendly creatures within 10 feet of you can't be frightened as long as you're conscious. Then at 11th level of Paladin, you get improved Divine Smite. So now you don't always have to expend a spell slot in order to do some extra radiant damage. Now all of your melee weapon strikes carry divine power with them. So whenever you hit a creature with a melee attack, that creature takes an extra 1d8 radiant damage. And you can throw in a spell slot to do some normal smite damage on top of it if you really want. Then at 12th level of Paladin, you get another ability score improvement. And since we don't have to concentrate too much on spells, I don't really have to worry about boosting up our constitution. So we're going to take another feat and grab the feat Tough. This makes it so you have an additional 2 hit points per level of this overall build, which would help way more than any sort of boost to your constitution. Then instead of jumping into 13th level of Paladin, we're going to do another multi-class and go ahead and dive into Fighter. And from that first level in Fighter, you get a fighting style. We already took defense, and I was tempted to take superior technique so you can learn and maneuver, but frankly, I like being more versatile at every step of the battle. So I'm going to take the fighting style, Unarmed Fighting. This makes it so your unarmed strikes can deal bludgeoning damage equal to 1d6 plus your strength modifier, or 1d8 if you aren't wielding anything in either of your hands. And on top of that, if you happen to be grappling an enemy, that creature takes 1d4 bludgeoning damage at the start of each of your turns. And you may be wondering, why the heck would you bother with Unarmed Fighting if you already have Beast Barbarian and you can use your claws? Well, now you can use the bite or tail effect while still having the ability to lash out with your hands. Not to mention your claws should be dealing 1d8 now instead of 1d6, if you really want to stick with that claw attack. But you can give yourself the additional regeneration from the bite or the additional armor from the tail, while still being able to punch out with your hands. Additionally, at first level of Fighter, you get Second Wind. So on your turn as a bonus action, you can regain hit points equal to 1d10 plus your Fighter level. Then at second level of Fighter, you get Action Surge. So you can take 2 actions in a single turn, but you can only do this once per short or long rest. Then at third level of Fighter, you get a Martial Archetype, otherwise known as a Fighter subclass. And part of the reason I wanted another multi-class here was because in Smash Brothers and a ton of the Mario games, there is the ultimate ability. In Smash, that means turning into Mega Bowser, and in plenty of the other Mario games, you see this giant version of Bowser. So we're going to take the Martial Archetype, Rune Knight, which gives us the feature Giant Might. So as a bonus action, you can invoke this feature and it lasts for a minute, making you large instead of medium. It will also give you advantage on strength checks and strength saving throws, even if rage covers that most of the time anyways. And finally, once on each of your turns, your attacks can deal an extra 1d6 damage because of how massive you are. The other feature from this subclass is Rune Carver. So you get a series of runes that you can add to yourself or items that you're wearing or armor or anything like that, using either a cloud, fire, or frost, or stone rune. You can only use 2 of them at a time right now, and each of them has a lot to read through, so I don't want to make this video super long. So the ones I would focus on are Fire Rune, because there's plenty of fire related stuff when it comes to Bowser, making it so your proficiency bonus is doubled for any ability check that you make when you're using proficiency with a tool, which might not affect Bowser too much, but you can also directly invoke this rune. So when you hit a creature with an attack, the target takes an extra 2d6 fire damage, and it must succeed on a saving throw or be restrained for 1 minute. And while it's restrained, the target takes additional 2d6 fire damage at the start of each of its turns. And the other rune I would probably take is this Stone Rune, giving you advantage on insight checks, giving you some dark vision, which you already have as a Dragonborn, and you can actually invoke this rune, so a creature you can see within 30 feet of you has to succeed on a wisdom saving throw or become charmed by you for 1 minute. And this can be pretty helpful in case you're trying to charm Peach and finally get her to marry you. Then at 4th level of Fighter, and last level of this overall build, bringing us to 20, you get 1 more ability score improvement. And we have plenty of health, plenty of strength, and our dexterity is only helping us as much as it possibly can with our medium armor. So let's try and be a little more charming to help sway Princess Peach to our side and boost our charisma by 2 points, which will also have the added effect of helping out most of our paladin stuff. Let me know what you think about this build in the comments down below, especially if you happen to have seen the Mario movie that came out recently, or maybe what you think of the old Mario movie that was a bit of a dumpster fire, but I still loved it all the same. If you want access to the character sheets for this build or any of my other builds, feel free to check out my Patreon linked in the description down below, where you can get access to that, which will also include the paladin spells I would choose, even though we have to worry about being in rage, so it's going to be a bit of a balancing act, which all of these incredible people have access to, but especially Alex, Bad in Person, Benjamin, Caleb Roan, Isabel Walker, Jameson Jones, Karkat Kitsune, Keelan, Melendez Robinson, The Dino 21, Wyatt Newsom, Yaksha Senpai, and Z13. Or going above and beyond that are my Dungeon Master level patrons that I play D&D with, and I stream it over on Twitch, but make all of the videos available here on YouTube. Braden Aldridge, Daniel Galpin, Demiurge, Devin Happy, Eric Wade, GameStake, Heyo, Kilo Michael, Talon Starkey, Tristan Bennett, and Salvador. And finally, if you made it all the way to the end of this video, let me know by hitting that like button, and I'll be here hoping you roll at least 3 nat 20s in your next D&D session, especially if you want to play as King Koopa himself, the conquering dragon turtle that absolutely hates plumbers, Bowser in Dungeons & Dragons.